Well, it's almost Christmas. Be another day or two. New Year's coming up. And as we all know, another year will be gone. And things change. Sometimes that change is pretty tough. Sometimes it's fantastic. We don't never know really at the beginning which. And I'm kind of winging it tonight, a little more than usual, about how I want to say things and what I want to say. You know, it took me a while to get in the Christmas mood this year, but I finally had gotten there. Yeah, had a pretty good week the last week, and up until this morning, I was, well, actually this evening, I was feeling pretty Christmassy, and to some extent I still am. I mean, it's Christmas. You want to send out love and light in the world, especially this time of year. But then we got coming up on New Year's Eve, and there's Old Lang Syne. Well, this year, Old Lang Syne is going to be a little bit more than some years. Let's say that. So, that puppy is hot. Yeah, anyway. Let's do it this way. Here's one for Old Lang Syne. I gotta light a little bit of a flame for all you guys and gals. And let's just talk about what's kind of gotten me a little bit under the spirit this year. I'm gonna switch over to the PC screen and jump over here to the image viewer. This is a old friend of mine from back in the 80s, Russ Anderson. He passed away this spring. This is a clip of him hanging out with his granddaughters, which last I knew was his favorite thing in this world. And then there is another friend of mine, Rob Cordy. Passed away over the summer, late summer. And just this evening, I found out about my friend Scott Patton passing away sometime in the wee hours this morning. And I'm hoping he's with his little guy Lou, his best bud. And so I'm going to talk about these fellas a little bit, because they deserve to be remembered. Russ and I were friends back in the 80s. We hung out together. I was at his first wedding. Caught the garter at that one. It was years later before that took effect. We used to hang out all the time. We had an old friend named Steve Kessler. This is all back in Edgerton, Wisconsin, back many years back. We used to play euchre late at night, drinking buddies and go out shooting pool and stuff like that. And weird as it was, Steve Kessler had this magic card deck. I swear to God, that thing, I would shuffle, and all of a sudden a card would flip on me while I was shuffling, and boom, there it was, time to deal out the deck. And sure as all get out, we were playing euchre, and somebody would get a lone hand. And Russ and his family called me Lone Hand Dan for years after that, because it happened over and over and over again. Every time that card would flip that way, I would feel it, and I would deal out, and somebody at the table would get a lone hand. Not necessarily my team either, mind you. Russ was a great guy. I never really got a chance to go see him in the last few years. I just hadn't been back in Wisconsin, and he's over there busy with life, and I was over here busy with life. We kept up on Facebook, which I deactivated my Facebook account about a month ago, and most of the time I think that dang thing is just an evil time suck, but it's times like this that you notice the good side of Facebook. My wife is still on, and she saw about Scott and told me, and I'm still available on Messenger, so I went hunting, and I got confirmation from Scott's daughter that he had passed. We'll get to that a little bit later. Rob, yeah, he was always classy, a little bit funny. He was a good mood kind of guy. We'd have a cigar together every once in a great while. Enjoyed really good music, and we didn't get to hang as much as I would like, and it's just hard on his family, hard on Russ's family, hard on Scott's family. This is never easy when these folks go. Scott and I worked together in downtown Chicago for probably 1997, 98, all the way until I left downtown Chicago around Christmas of 2014. Actually, Scott left the year before, left where I was working the year before. We worked in telecommunications together. I'm a telecom field tech, and I was back then as well over in the Chicago area. And Scott, there were a few things about Scott. He could be a little bit curmudgeonly every now and then. He also had a wicked sense of humor. And if anybody that knew Scott, he loved two things, and that was great food and his dog, Lou. He would dress Lou up for Christmas. One year he dressed him up Lou was a little chihuahua. He dressed him up as a lobster. Everybody was calling him the Lubster. And in one year, I swear he must have dressed him as a space alien. Another year, Santa Claus. But he would dress Lou up for the holidays. Lou would take it. Lou was his bud. He would put up with anything from Scott. And Scott would feed him really good table scraps. The two of them, Lou passed a few years back. And none of us ever forgot Lou. And we won't forget Scott either. Scott loved great food. He had a lot of friends. He'll be missed by a lot of people. He was a solid worker. And he loved the holidays, too. Which is, I'm kind of surprised he didn't hang around for another couple of days. Because day before Christmas Eve. But at least it wasn't right on the holiday. there's that. So I know this has been hard on all three families, especially fresh with the Patton family right now. But there it is. So need to remember, you guys. So here we go. Here's one for old Lang Syne. I'm going to switch back over to the PC screen for a little bit. I've been biting a little bit with, or working a little bit with the AI. This is Pluto in Aquarius, as I imagine it, which is about to spend the next 20 years in my astrology sign. This is, in mythology, Pluto's the lord of the underworld, and it seems appropriate to have this character in this conversation, given the subject matter. But Pluto is also not just death, but rebirth. And it's like the passing of the old to make room for the new. And so I'm expecting a bit of a wild ride over the next 20 years with this energy in place. And then there's my other ruler, Uranus. Right now, I won't get into Saturn. I've been spending time with him lately too, but this is not that time is a little bit behind, and this is more the energy that's kind of sticking with me right now. It's a little holiday, a little bit Nordic like me. I got a lot of that Norse background in my bloodline. And Uranus is all about that flash of creation, the lightning of something coming in from out of the blue and new. And I'm kind of hoping that after this holiday season, that new starts coming for all of us. You know, we all imagine what the future is going to be like, and we can't imagine that future without our friends until we have no choice but to do so. But a lot of times things turn out in the end better than how we ever could imagine. We got to remember that side. Now, all three of my friends that passed away this year passed away of heart problems of one type or another. I don't want to go into details, but whether it's physically broken or spiritually broken, let's just put them that way. You know, all three of them were great guys. All three deserve to be remembered. And they should be remembered and carried on forward, their memory in the future. That's up to all of us. All of us that ever knew them. all of us that are hearing about them. And these aren't the first people I've lost in life. I'm sure they won't be the last. That's the nature of life. I'd like to think of all of them in a better place now. And I hope that we all can find ourselves in a better place as well. Despite all the rhetoric, despite all the crazy news, and despite all the people that are spinning that news one direction or another, shutting down that Facebook account and switching over to Messenger and dropping down the social media presence dramatically, I'm finding myself getting my focus back. That's a positive. That's a positive. I'm finding that more and more when I spend time on social media, or I should say messaging apps, because that's mostly what I do now. I'm more messaging people that I know and that I care about, and either having a small group conversation or a one-on-one conversation, and I find that's more human. Until something like Scott happens, and I don't know when I would have known. I literally just had a conversation with Scott last week. I called him for his birthday and talked to him for an hour. I'm glad I did. So, don't spend all the time arguing with everyone and whatnot that you don't know online. Spend it, whether it's online or off, on people you know and care about. Make that the bigger part of the balance. I'm not saying that there's not room or need for a public conversation, but I've yet to see any of that change anybody's mind. That's rare. That's a rare bird when you can change somebody's mind by arguing with them. That's about as rare as a snowflake in the tropics. And I mean a literal snowflake. So laugh all you want. Whatever. We got to figure out how to bring it back together. Some way or another. So, spend these holidays with people you love. As screwed up as it is sometimes, love your country. As screwed up as they are sometimes, love other countries. It's not the regular folks. It's always the bossy pants types. I don't know how else to put it, man. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much. Have a Merry Christmas. Be with the ones you love. Stay safe. stay with us, and try to find a positive vision for the future. Because what we envision is usually what we get. And no matter what, even if it feels like pushing uphill, we're way better off if we envision positive things and make that our mental focus, isn't it? We'll do all a lot better if we can find that. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy whatever you celebrate, Winter Solstice, Yule, all the above. Because really, what we're supposed to be celebrating at this time of year is light and love, the ones we love, and hope for the future. So, here's to a better future. Happy holidays, y'all.